Hi, and welcome again to Antelope. This is part 2 of how to handle your data neatly. Now, let's say you are not interested in creating a survey, or you've already created one on another piece of software and you have that data set that's ready. So in this case, what we're going to do is, based on our previous example, we are going to take a look at some Starbucks customer surveys. So this is a great case because it has over 100 respondents, all of the data is ready, and the income is shown in Malaysian ringgit. And so we have, for example, the gender, the age, the status, the income, number of visits, methods, time spent, location, membership card, and we even have, for example, details about the purchases, product rate, price rate, promotional, ambience, Wi-Fi, methodology, and presence of course, a membership discount card. So in that case, what we're going to do is we're just going to download it. And I've already downloaded it here, and we're just going to import that survey in. So we double click. So once you download it, of course, you'll have something that looks a little bit like this. Now, of course, if you were to just download it yourself and explore it, you'll end up with something like this, which is very, very complex, and it's unreadable. And for many of us, of course, we are ending up in the situation where the more data we have, the more frustrating it is, and in fact the less insight we can get. So hopefully Antelope's here to target that. So right now what we'll face is something like that. Of course, it doesn't mean very much for now. So we've got, for example, and we can type in whatever description we want and the importing. So next we'll map out the columns. So of course, for example, gender does not exist in 1, 1, and 0, so we'll go back to the original survey to see what is the code. So in this case, it's something like that. So we'll just copy this and paste it, and this way the AI knows what we're trying to say. So 0 is male and 1 is female, and we might, for example, change this to single choice. So I'm going to pause the video here, and I'll be right back after I've sorted all of these things, and it's going to take about 10-15 minutes if you take your time with it. So we'll have to do this for all of them, and of course some data sets are cleaner than others. And we're back, and so as you've seen, all I've done is to copy and paste the headers into each column because it doesn't originally show up, and I've made them a little bit more grammatical. Now, we've tried in the past to just even include some spelling mistakes, and it tends to work, but my advice is to take maybe an extra minute or two and to clean it up. And then once we're done with that, which has taken me 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most for 33 different columns, all we need to do is click the import button. And we wait. So 113 responses, and that's 32 survey questions with cleaned up headers. And there we go. We should see our new sample set appear here as imported survey. And if we want some quick overviews, all we have to do is click on it, and we should be able to see the results. We can see how each person responded, in case that's what we want to do. And we also have access to advanced analytics. So here I'll just click generate, and it'll take a few seconds. And we're back. So we've just waited about 1 to 2 minutes for the AI to generate the analytics, and we have several critical factors. For example, we have a critical customer satisfaction gap and product feature awareness. So this either indicates that there are too many features out there, or that the marketing for it is a little bit complicated, it's not intentional enough, or perhaps the brand positioning itself of the coffee shop and the products that it offers and the space that it offers is a little weak. And we see that, for example, there's a mismatch in communication preference. So all of this from a whole bunch of scattered data is really, really helpful. So if we were business owners or researchers, for example, we should start having some ideas on how to improve this. So obviously people are just not happy with the response rates, and they feel like their feedback isn't taken seriously. We also have, so again, we can just take a quick look at each of these to see that it's been coded correctly, and we can see that yes, everything is reading well. But in case we want to go to something more in-depth with Python code, and we want to ask ourselves regressions. For example, we would like to ask ourselves if men are more frustrated with channel communications, or if women use more digital communications than men. And why this is significant is because even though there might be, for example, differences between men and women, if a majority of the people frequenting the coffee shop already are women, then it doesn't make any sense to really improve features that are targeted for men. Or it could, depending on what other sort of differentiations are necessary in the area. So here we'll try to start a new conversation. All we have to do is click this little plus button at the top, and we'll select the survey. So it's just a new one here, and we'll go with chat. You can chat with the data itself. It's a bit like chatting with the old GPT, but if you want something that's a little bit more reliable, we'll have to look at the Python code. Again, that's really the only way to do regressions. So let's go about that. We'll open up a new one with the plus button on the right hand side, and we'll click code, and we'll wait for it to load. It'll just take a few seconds as it starts setting itself up. And within this, you can also chat with the cohort. So for example, like if you were to click here, you could filter, for example, create a new cohort, and you could talk just to women, for example, or men or women between the ages of 18 and 20. But for this demo, we won't be doing that now. So it's a little bit overwhelming and we have a lot of data. Let's just go over some quick insights. And it's reading it. And we're back. And as we see, the Antelope has produced an executive summary for us that's very clean, and we see that it's taken 160 seconds. We find on average it takes about 120 to 180 seconds. We can also see that the data set is composed of 55% women and 45% men, for example. We see the bulk of the respondents, employment status, income distribution, and correlations. So for example, we see that women have specific preferences in terms of visiting and specific habits of buying. So perhaps men exhibit more variance in taste. So we have everything from income and other further recommendations to go down. Now we can also run back and check through the code. So we can see how it's coded for everything in Python. But of course, the main objective here with Antelope is to try to skip really the need to be good at code. For example, mapping out different axes for plots, graphs, and visualizations might be particularly significant and difficult, and we're hoping to help out with that. But in general, all you have to do is type in plain text, give me some overall insights, and you'll get your answers. Let's try something a little more specific now that that's done. So now that we have some basic results down, why don't we try thinking about whether or not having a membership loyalty card is a good predictor of overall expenditure. Because if it is, then perhaps as owners we can choose to focus on loyalty discounts or email newsletters to keep people engaged, for example. And we can even ask it to run any statistical tests. What about genders? If women are the predominant spenders and respondents in the survey, is that more important than having a membership loyalty card? Should we be targeting women, for example, as we think about the decor or the features of the store? So let's go ahead and run that now. And we're back, and as you can see, the analysis duration has taken 197 seconds, so just over 3 minutes. Again, it's between 2 to 3 to 4 minutes, but it really makes it much easier. So our question was whether or not having a membership loyalty card or gender was important to our overall analysis, and it is. So a membership loyalty card is positively correlated with higher spending. Now again, we've gotten all of this from something that looks originally a lot like this, very chaotic. So this is very, very helpful instead. So again, we have a significant relationship between membership card ownership and overall expenditure, and that women report higher satisfaction with store services than men. And so we can even take this further. For example, we will eventually build in features where you can change the weightage. So for example, if you know that men are more likely to complain in a given situation, you can deprioritize some of those complaints so that you get a more complete picture, and vice versa. So for example, again, there are no significant correlation factors between there are no significant correlations between satisfaction and increased spending. So what that means is that essentially, even though we have some complaints about the features, just improving those features, it does seem that it's unlikely to really improve revenue for the store. Instead, we should probably be thinking of price, value adding, and increasing the amount of deals and rewards. So again, if you're in a different part of the world, how people respond to decor, ambience, price ranges, brand positioning are all very different. So this should help you with that. We'll just go through one more test, and that is, what is the best feature of the shop to improve? Now, unlike most other softwares, I don't have to define what I think is a feature. It should be able to pick up on these things, and let's take a look at it and see what we'll get. And now that the code is run in 129 seconds, so that's just another 2 minutes, we can see the overall analysis that pricing, for example, is the most important thing. So pricing is directly correlated to customer satisfaction ratings, and for example, if you have any sort of other advanced statistical questions, like for example, is pricing universally a pain point across all the customer segmentations? Then yes, it is, because Antelope has already done correlation analysis in the background to confirm that consistent dissatisfaction pricing across diverse demographics is quite necessary to be fixed. And in this case, we've seen that, for example, product quality, promotions, and product strategies not as significant as pricing itself. We can go back and check the code, of course, and run through quickly with what has been done if we wanted to do that. But if you're in a rush for time, of course, you can just wait till everything's finished and stick to the executive summary. But right now we can see that it has done a very thorough job with adequate negative correlations, and so we see that it doesn't matter whether or not the customer is male or female, or they spend a lot or very little. It just seems that in general everyone is dissatisfied with the price. As always, no surprise there. So thank you very much for tuning in today and for watching Antelope with us. We hope you've enjoyed this, and we hope that it will make your next steps much easier, which is exactly what we hope to be. Thanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye.